So it's a pleasure to join with Leader Schumer and Senator Stabenow, Senator Padilla, to emphasize what has to happen right now in order to protect our country and protect the economy. And that is that Speaker McCarthy needs to take his finger off the default detonator, because if he pushes that default detonator, it will have devastating consequences. You will have an economic meltdown. It's economic Armageddon. You'll wipe out millions of jobs. You'll wipe out people's retirement savings. You will also see a huge increase in interest rates. So Speaker McCarthy needs to defuse that bomb and make sure that we then proceed with the discussion on the budget on the separate track. And let me just say a few words about that. I serve on the Budget Committee. I serve on the Appropriations Committee. President Biden and all of us have been very clear from the beginning that we're more than happy to sit down and discuss budget issues and appropriation issues in that forum, just not under the threat of blowing up our economy. President Biden has submitted a budget. It's $3 trillion in deficit reduction over 10 years. And we know that this is not about deficit reduction from our Republican colleagues, because they're not willing to consider 1 penny of increase in taxes on very rich people in order to reduce the deficit. They say they care about the deficit, but they're not asking billionaires to contribute 1 penny more. They say they care about the deficit. They're not willing to ask big corporations to pay 1 penny more. So no one should believe that Republicans actually care about reducing the deficit. What we need to do, as President Biden has said, is go talk about how we're going to address the budget. And we're more than happy to consider some of their proposals and cuts in that context, and they need to consider some of our proposals in that context. I will point out that President Biden does have cuts in his budget. He asks the pharmaceutical companies to contribute more. He's going to cut the amount that we pay to Big Pharma for prescription drugs. So he has proposed cuts as part of his budget. But let's take that conversation, that discussion, to its appropriate place. And Speaker McCarthy, take your finger off the default detonator. That's our message, and we hope that reason will prevail in his caucus. Now let me turn it over to Senator Padilla.